What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F123, my team career mode for Season 1, round number 5, the Spanish Grand Prix. So this is technically our first time doing a new track, in a way, because Spain has the new layout in this game, so they got rid of the final chicane. It's now just one kind of, well, it's two corners where the chicane was. Very fast section, so kind of a new track. I mean, it is the same track we've run in Spain for the last God knows how many years, but it does have that added bit. It's the first track with a significant track change, so that is something to be excited about, because it's a little while until we get to Qatar, which is the first actual new track, fully new track that we get on this game. Looking at R&D, and Aston Martin are now pretty much right on top of us. They've caught up to us a little bit, but it is still very much status quo between us. And then that pack at the back, midfield to the back, whatever you want to call it, that is ridiculously close. Alfa Romeo are actually now the next team behind kind of our group with Aston Martin. So yeah, all looking very close in R&D as usual. As we get into Q1 here, and yeah, Spain's a track that I've always been a bit iffy about. It's never been the most amazing track, but it definitely is better on this game. Just generally with the handling of F1 23 compared to 22, just so much better, and that getting rid of that chicane is awesome. You'll see the chicane in action in a moment, but yeah, Q1 goes by. Pretty decent lap in the end, puts us in P3, so that's a crazy time. But I have noticed in this game, compared to other games, the AI do seem to kind of build up their lap times through the qualifying, whereas, you know, I'm kind of just going for it from the get-go. Awasa actually gets through to Q2 just about, so that's good, having him in Q2 once again. I think this is only probably second time getting into Q2, so yeah, he's really under-delivering in that car. I'm looking forward to getting a new teammate. I'll probably wait until the end of this season. I won't swap out mid-season, but yeah, at least he's going to Q2 this time. Just doesn't have the pace. As we now are in Q2 here, and our lap time not as first two sectors, we're not really that much up on our time, but we're making time in the final sector here. This is the new part of the track, so fast right-hander, then it's just a little bit of a brake, a bit of a lift off, a shift down on the gears, and then through to the main straight, and it's a very fun final sector now. We end up going P4 in Q2, so still got some good pace in the car here. Any real surprises going out in Q2? Not really. Stroll never seems to make it anyway. Both Alpines don't make it. Awasa ends up P15, so he's not 16th in Q2, so that's good that he's not right at the back of Q2. But of course, he doesn't make it through to Q3, but I wasn't really expecting that anyway. And then we get into our Q3 lap time. So now I'm kind of expecting the AI to boost themselves up a little bit from where they were in Q1 and Q2, whereas I'm always going full on. I mean, I'm picking up time in each qualifying session, just getting used to how the car drives, getting used to the track and everything. But yeah, the AI will definitely go for it more here. It's a good first sector by the looks of it, a tenth and a half up already as we head down into this next section. Now this section here can be very difficult. If you brake too late, you get it all wrong. If you brake too early, you end up too far over that curb on the left, and that will cause you issues. This is a corner here that I've always struggled with. However, I seem a little bit better on it in this game, just a little bit of a lift off as you head through that corner. We're then down to this part here, which was changed for F1 22. Previously, there was a bit more of a corner to that, but now it's a much more fast-flowing section. And then now we head to this final bit. It's full throttle through this corner, as long as you get the line right. If you don't, you've got to lift off a little bit. Very fast final corner, and as we go over the line, it is going to be P7 for us in qualifying. That's where we'll be starting the race, providing there's no grid penalties for anyone. We've beaten Alonso. Bottas, actually, I didn't even mention, Bottas and Norris both got into Q3, so that's really good. Shows you that the Alfa Romeo is starting to get a bit more pace. But yeah, Perez on the front row again, on pole position, beating his teammate in qualifying. Let's get into the race.
Welcome along, everyone, to sunny Spain, specifically to the Circuit de Catalunya. So many great moments in Formula One history have been written at this very track over the years, including Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari back in '96. That win was in the rain. We might have better weather here today, but we're just as overjoyed to be at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and the popular opinion in the paddock is that we never wanted the chicane in the first place. That's now been gone, the final corner is much faster, and at 2.9 miles and 14 turns, we await the Spanish Grand Prix. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Hamilton, Sainz, Russell, Davies, Fernando Alonso, Bottas, Norris, Gasly, Stroll, Ocon, Iwasa, Joe, Oscar Piastri, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Albon, De Vries, Albon. And now it's time to head down to the track. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, the regulations aren't new anymore, but the teams and the drivers are still coming to terms with them. I firmly believe it's also track specific. We've seen some wheel-to-wheel racing throughout the year. Some tracks lend themselves better to it than others. I'd like to see it at every race in the whole season. Is that too much to ask?
Okay, here we go for the Spanish Grand Prix in Season 1 with the brand new layout on this new game. It's lights out and away we go. It is a good start from us. Not a great start from Hamilton up ahead as we're now stuck behind Sainz, kind of boxed in a little bit. He's going to the inside though. Leclerc and Verstappen, I think that is, all on the inside there as we try and keep it around the outside of Hamilton through turn 1, then through turn 2, a little bit caught on the curve there. Hamilton's got the inside line. He has the grip to stay in front of us, but we're going to just tuck up behind him. We're going to have a little look, but he goes very defensive, parks his car right in the middle of the track. That actually invites his teammate Russell to try and go around the outside of us as well, and those Mercedes have a little bit more grip than us at this point in the race, and they are higher on R&D as well, so Russell will still stay right there, and he just pushes us out a little bit too wide. I have a think about trying to stay around the outside into this next corner, but that's a very risky thing to do. And Russell puts his car in the perfect position to stay ahead of us. Now we've just got to make sure we don't get overtaken by Bottas, who's up to P8. Alonso's dropped a position from the start here. The Alfa Romeo of Valtteri Bottas looking pretty pacey now that they are I guess it's the 6th quickest team on R&D, I believe, or maybe the 5th actually, because it's Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, us, Aston, no, 6th, so yeah. They're looking pretty pacey at this point in time. We've lost a little bit of time to Russell and the cars ahead here, but as we head on to lap number 2, we are in a pretty good position at the moment. I think we should be able to stay ahead of Bottas at the front, and Perez got a great start off the start, leading from pole position, but Verstappen now coming back at him, going on to lap number 4. DRS now enabled, and Verstappen is going to just about breeze past. Perez though is keeping his nose in it as they go side by side through turn 2, but Perez can't quite do anything there. Verstappen now takes the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. He wants a good finish here after having a couple of fairly poor results over the last couple of races with the DNF and with the P5 in Monaco. As now we're looking at a move on Russell because he's really slow, and the pace of us down the back straight with DRS and ERS is just phenomenal. We do have the quickest engine on the grid, and that really shows against the Mercedes. But yeah, Russell especially does seem quite slow at the moment. As a couple of laps later, although Verstappen got past Perez, Perez with the DRS is now going to try and get back on his teammate. He fakes to the left, then goes to the right, up the inside for Sergio Perez, as they're once again 2x2 into turn 1 through turn 2, and Perez has gotten back ahead of his teammates to lead this race, and Verstappen's got a little bit of front wing damage. He clipped his teammate through turn 1, turn 2, and that is Verstappen with losing his front right wing end plate, and at the end of that lap he will come into the pits. So Perez now has a healthy lead at the front. Leclerc in third. It is Sainz, Leclerc second. It is Sainz third, but now Hamilton is going for a move on the Ferrari, the home hero Ferrari as well. Of course, Carlos Sainz from Spain, racing in the Spanish Grand Prix, wanting a podium here, but Hamilton's here to spoil the party, and he'll put his car up into third place in a Ferrari sandwich. So that's a good move from Lewis there. As we continue on, lap number 8, we are just kind of trying to keep Russell behind, struggling a little bit at this point in time. There's yellow flags up ahead. What's going on? There's a car. It's a Red Bull. It's Sergio Perez, the race leader, backwards out of that corner. He's facing the wrong way, and then there is a safety car deployed. Our first safety car. Fernando Alonso is out of the session. The other home driver of Fernando Alonso out of the Spanish Grand Prix. It is our first safety car in F1 23. We finally got it. I was really wondering where the safety cars were, but we finally got a safety car, and this is why. Perez leading the race, comes around this right-hander, puts too much power down, spins the car around. He's now backwards on the track. He's trying to reverse his way around. Russell has to move out of the way, and then he reverses straight into Alonso. This is Alonso here, spots a gap, but then Perez just reverses backwards, and that means Alonso smashes into the side of him, and yeah, Alonso is out of this race, and now the safety car is out. Now Leclerc now leads the way, but what is he going to do here? He's going to come into the pits. Sainz is going to come into the pits as well, so that's both Ferraris into the pits here. The safety car came out at a really awkward point for us because it came out just as we were like alongside the pit lane. So we've decided not to come in. We've gone with Hamilton here, decided to stay on these mediums a little bit longer because it's quite a few laps until we were expected to come in for the hard compound tyres. But as we go racing again, we've got a really good run on Hamilton, and we're actually going to go up the inside as we head into turn 1 here. This is the battle for the race lead. Hamilton, though, keeps his car there. Here we are on the end, the edge of turn 2. Hamilton, though, just about stays ahead. We then get a snap of oversteer round turn 3. Bottas is currently sitting in P3 in the Alfa Romeo. He has a look at us, but now it's coming under fire from, who is that? That's Lance Stroll, and I believe Esteban Ocon, is it? Or Pierre Gasly, one of the Alpines, and they both managed to get past Valtteri Bottas. It's now Stroll in third with, I believe it is Ocon, but Stroll manages to get the position up into third place for him, so one Aston Martin at least doing a good job as Hamilton has spun ahead of us. He's spun round on this lap, and that puts us into the lead of the Spanish Grand Prix. We are leading a race legitimately here. But we've got Stroll right behind us, and we're really struggling. These tyres, for some reason, I don't know what it is, they're warm already, but they really don't seem to have the grip at the moment as Stroll gets past us. Ocon gets past us as well. We're now, however, side by side with Ocon, as we're now going to be 3 wide as we head into turn 1. We're on the outside, Stroll in the middle, Ocon on the inside. Stroll, though, manages to keep the position for P1. We just about stay ahead of Ocon for P2, but these tyres are really struggling. I don't know why, because they still have like 30% of wear. There's now Ocon looking up the inside of us into the next corner. We are battling like crazy here, and you can see there my teammate Ayumu Iwasa is right behind us in P4. Where the hell has that come from? This safety car has completely muddled up the grid here. I believe Iwasa has come in for a pit stop, because from what I remember, from P1 to 10 we all started on mediums. Everybody behind started on softs, and Iwasa's now on the medium, so it looks like he has come into the pits. But a lap or two later, we decide we have to come into the pits because these medium tyres just are not lasting at all. So this could be detrimental for us because we didn't come in under the safety car. We've come in a couple of laps after the safety car. We're going to come out of the pit and be in dead last position of the runners so far, P21 of 21, Alonso being that 22nd car who has DNF'd. So this could be bad for us. It could be good though, because most people are on mediums or softs. They will almost certainly have to come in again, whereas we should be able to go to the end on the hards now. The two Williams are battling here. And they're actually in the points right now. Like I said, these two are both on soft, so they're going to have to come in again, so most likely won't finish in the points. But at the moment, they are both, I think, sitting P9 and P10, as now Sergio Perez, is that? Or is that Max Verstappen? I think that might be Max Verstappen making his way through, as well as he had to come in before the safety car for his front wing change. This is currently the battle for the lead because Lance Stroll leads the Spanish Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon, though, is going for a move on Stroll round the outside. That is a great move from Ocon, and he now leads the Spanish Grand Prix. And Stroll, seems to be really struggling here. as now my teammate Iwasa takes P2. Iwasa is somewhat legitimately in P2 here. This is crazy, as now one of the Williams of Alexander Albon has a mechanical failure running in the top 10. Like I said, probably wasn't going to finish there because he would have had to come in for another pit stop for sure, and it's a bit weird with the cars around him with all the strategies and stuff. It gets a bit confusing, but that is Albon out of the session. There's now a big battle here going on, and that is Carlos Sainz getting past Lance Stroll as well there, as Leclerc's also there. They pitted under the safety car, but I'm not sure if it's worked for them or not. It really depends what other strategies are going on around them, as there's just a lot going on here. Leclerc now past Stroll. Stroll is really struggling here on those medium compound tyres, and now this is the battle, I think, for P2 or something like that. Iwasa now getting overtaken by Piastri, or this will be for this will be for P2, I think. So Piastri now getting past Iwasa. Iwasa is just about keeping his car there, though. And there is a Red Bull just behind these guys as well, as he's going to go to the inside, and it's going to be 3 wide as we head into this next corner. Zhou Guanyu's been overtaken. Verstappen up the inside of Iwasa and Piastri. They're still 3 wide as they head into this next corner here. This is phenomenal racing going on. Piastri just about ahead of Iwasa, but Iwasa's still there. Verstappen loses out. Zhou Guanyu is now back in this fight. Piastri's still ahead. Iwasa coming back again though, and he's got the inside as they head into this next corner. He's now ahead, but this is a monumental battle that is not over yet, as now Zhou Guanyu goes for a little look on the outside of Piastri. I don't know where to look with my camera. Verstappen's there in the background. Piastri and Zhou are now side by side. Perez is now joined in on this fight as well, as this is just amazing racing going on. This is the best racing we've seen on F123 for sure. This is almost a lap long battle between these guys, and then Piastri and one of the Red Bulls comes into the pits on that lap. Just awesome stuff. We've now caught up to Sargent, who's on soft compound tyres, but is struggling on those tyres for sure. And on the hard tyres, we're going to go round the outside of him. He's trying to keep his car there, because even though those are quite worn softs, I imagine, he still just has some decent pace compared to our hard compound tyres. We get a little bit of a slide round that corner, but we've gotten ahead of Sargent. I think he'll come into the pits that lap around. We've now caught up to the back of Lance Stroll, who is really struggling on these medium compound tyres. I don't know if he's even come into the pits. No, I think he came into the pits from the softs, but look how much more pace we have than Stroll. He's just struggling so much up the inside into this corner. We had to literally lift off as we came out of turn 3 because he was just so slow through that corner. We get up now into P4. Gasly the car ahead. I think that's Magnussen, is it, in the Haas, who was running in P2. He's coming to the pits. We're now going for a move on Pierre Gasly, and that puts us up into P2 in this race. George Russell is the car ahead of us now. He actually came in to the pits on the lap that the safety car came in as well, and he's managed to get up to P1 on the hard tyres. So this just shows that strategy in this race, and just everything's just absolutely crazy. There's now a battle between the two Alpines as Ocon is on fresher medium tyres. Gasly runs a bit too wide into that corner on the hards, and it's a pretty easy overtake for his teammate Esteban Ocon, who is charging through the field on what are pretty fresh medium tyres. It's looking like a good strategy for at least one of the Alpines. Not for Gasly though, as he's now been overtaken by Lewis Hamilton, and he's got Max Verstappen right behind him, and Verstappen will eventually get past Gasly and is now having a go at Hamilton. It's Verstappen versus Hamilton once again, but it's a pretty easy overtake for Max this time around, as now there's still more battles going on behind us. Verstappen now caught up to the back of Ocon. Ocon really catching up to me as well, but thankfully Verstappen's slowing him down here, because Ocon was looking like he was possibly going to catch me at the end of this race, and did seem to have more pace on those tyres. As now only a few laps to go, we are very slowly catching George Russell in that Mercedes. Our hard tyres are about 3 laps newer than his, so and we're fairly similarly paced with the Mercedes, maybe a little bit slower, but on these slightly fresher tyres, we have been catching Russell, but now we're going to have we're going to have a big pressure from Verstappen behind us, as now there is a move for Lewis Hamilton now getting ahead of Esteban Ocon. Ocon in these last few laps starting to struggle on those medium compound tyres. The hard tyre runners will now have the better grip, but Ocon's really fighting this one against Hamilton, makes him try and go around the outside, but he's going to defend, and actually that allows Perez to now have a look up on the inside of Hamilton. Perez has had quite the race here. You know, he spun around, he caused the safety car, but he's come back and he's currently sitting in P5 for Perez. So considering where he was in like the midpoint of this race, he's had a decent recovery here. The final lap of the race here, we are now within DRS of George Russell, but we have Verstappen absolutely all over the back of us. Perez is now up to P4, as on this last lap, Verstappen has the pace. He's trying to look around the outside. We are just placing our car in the perfect position. We're making it as difficult as possible for him to get past. We're going really defensive as he goes for a big lunge into this corner, but once again, we're just going to squeeze him out. Stay on the tarmac, but just squeeze Verstappen out. I don't think we can fight for P1 here, but we're going to try and get P2. Either way, it's going to be a podium here, but we've managed, I think, to keep Verstappen behind, and as George Russell goes on to win back-to-back races in F1 23, we're going to come through for P2, and it is our first podium on F1 23, second place in Spain. It's an amazing result. It was a pretty crazy race, and P2 was what we were fighting for, the win there. We beat Verstappen, Russell gets 2 in a row. What a great result for us.
So Mercedes have won it, and what a great race it was. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Well, they are very much at one with the car, which is a cliche, but it's true. It's not an easy process, and that work is very much paying off.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
So there we have it. George Russell wins back-to-back races. He won in Monaco last time out. He's won here in Spain. And, you know, looking where he was, we were fighting him and overtaking him right at the start of this race. He goes on to win. We come on for P2, and Verstappen manages to get up to P3 after breaking his front wing on like lap 4 or lap 5. What a crazy race that was. We had a DNF, we had a safety car, we had some weird things going on with strategy. Our medium tyres did not seem to have the grip when they weren't really that worn out, but we just didn't have the grip. But we made the strategy work. We actually kind of lucked out in a way that we didn't come in under the safety car, because I think if we did, we wouldn't have been that high up. I mean, we saw what happened with the 2 Ferraris. They ended up down in about the middle of the pack to the bottom, the middle of the points to the end of the points, the back end of the points. In the Drivers' Championship, that means that George Russell actually extends his lead in the championship. Verstappen second, Leclerc third. There's not really much change actually in the Drivers' Championship, just extending for Russell, and we actually move ahead of Alonso now up into P7, so it's a good result for us. It's also a 5th different driver scoring P10, that 1 point. This time it's Yuki Tsunoda for AlphaTauri, which of course gives AlphaTauri 1 point, and that means that they Haas are now the only team to not score a point so far this season. So does that mean that we'll have a 5th different driver from a 5th different team score a P10 next time out in Canada? Maybe we can have a Haas with 1 point, then every team will score points. Let's see what happens there. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.